Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to another Jigsaw discussion video. Now guys, if you haven't done it by now, please make sure to go to the theaters and check out Jigsaw. Support the official release, see it in theaters. If you liked it, then buy it on Blu-ray or digital download, even just renting it from the red box or something like that was going to support this movie enough in order to make them give us another sequel, because guys, the fans are what really drive this franchise, and we really want them to support us by making more and more of these films, giving us more of the stuff that we love. But with that being said, I feel a lot of people, a huge backlash when it comes to Jigsaw and the continuity now. A lot of people say that Jigsaw's broken the continuity, and I've talked with a lot of you guys individually in the comment section below, in emails and messages, or just people on the phone saying that, yeah, like one of the things that we really love as a community, the people who really appreciate the Saw franchise, is that this has an unbelievable continuity to it, as opposed to almost every other long-running horror franchise. Most of them just get into repetitive nature where things do happen, characters do transition. None of them are as more precise or well-connected as the Saw movies, and I know that that's one thing that we really like. And with that being said, I know that we're probably not going to get a whole lot of information given to us in the next film, if we do get one, about where things came from. I'm really trying not to spoil anything here, guys, so don't worry about spoilers, but we're not going to get any real indication of how these new events are really sync up to the old events, because after a certain point, when you have movies that have been on for so long and you have so many other sequels, the producers and the studios start really worrying about, oh, well, we're going to alienate new people who don't have time or even the interest to go and watch all the preceding films. And when you're talking about 8 movies, you're talking about quite a marathon for people. That's quite a binge, especially with these movies that are really gruesome and gory and all of that stuff. So how do you create a new and interesting franchise around new and interesting characters, while also giving the fans, the longtime fans, what they want, giving them the story that they need in order to move on from the franchise and know how all these pieces connect, know how certain characters interacted with each other, if at all, and everything else like that? Well, personally, I think you have to go the route the same way that a whole lot of other horror franchises have gone over the years. Give us a long-running, or at least a series of Jigsaw-related content outside of the main story in the films. Give us comic books, give us novelizations or something like that, where we get an idea of how Amanda and Hoffman and Dr. Gordon and John and Jill and everyone else who's been involved for this whole time have been interacting outside of the scenes that we're seeing from movie to movie, and make us understand, or at least make it so it's canonical, but not necessarily important to read that stuff or search out that stuff and to understand each individual movie. So the people who are coming in who are not intuitive on this at all, or not fans of that at all, they just want to see the blood, they want to see the gore, they want to feel the Halloween tradition of having a new old-fashioned Saw or Jigsaw movie every single year or every other year, whatever they do now. They can do that, but us fans will know who these characters are on a broader level and know how these interactions really work together. Personally, I think that would be really awesome, and I would really like to see that. Now, if for all those people saying, well, that's probably not going to happen, do remember that they have done this for a majority of the other long-running horror franchises. Jason, Michael, Freddy, they've all gotten one. Hellraiser's gotten some, and also crossover in book format. They've had books about these characters, and they've even crossed over, in other comic books or book-related material that's officially canonical, if you're willing to accept that. I've also argued on my first channel and a lot recently that there's no real such thing as canonical, or what is canon versus what isn't canon. It's what you determine you want to acknowledge is canon. If it works in your head, then that's all that really matters. And also, this wouldn't be the very first time that a Saw movie or even Saw-related content has done this. Now, a lot of people might have forgotten this, but when Saw 2 was actually coming out, they released a digital comic called Saw Rebirth. which really dealt with the backstory of John Kramer before we got into the nitty-gritty of what Saw 5 revealed about him and everything else like that. So obviously Saw Rebirth right now, it's kind of a nice little fan thing, but it's really been retconned by the movies and as a whole, because there's no real idea that people were paying attention. It wasn't really well distributed, and also most fans don't either know about it and or cared about it. But it was a reinterpretation or original interpretation of what John did and where he came from. Instead of being a civil engineer like he is in Saw 5 and throughout the rest of the franchise, apparently he's actually just a toy maker working in a toy factory. Because he's not going anywhere, Jill leaves him and he then gets sick, goes into depression, and ends up trying to commit suicide, and then becoming John as we knew him in the first 2 films, at least the first 2 or 3 movies. And this was a story that Lee Winnell, I believe he was part of the creative team that was really putting all this up. One of the things that's in the comic that was supposed to be in Saw 2, actually, that if you would watch the commentary for Saw 2, he mentions this. He wanted to put a scene where John actually shaves his head. He doesn't lose it to the chemotherapy that he's going through, in order to symbolize that, yes, this is John becoming Jigsaw. And it's really a very powerful scene, but the producers cut it from Saw 2. I guess I understand why. It just doesn't fit in with the rest of the movie, and I'm not sure even where they would have put in it. But it was kind of a cool idea, and I'm glad that we got it at least in some context. So yeah, like I said, they do have somewhat of a history for this in the Saw franchise, and it's always bothered me that they haven't done anything like this thus far. One of the things I always thought that they could do is give us some kind of ongoing serialized comic book series, or maybe even a series of novels that would go and explain things after Saw the final chapter. And now with Jigsaw, with the reinvigorating of the entire franchise, it would be interesting for them to give us something like a novelization series like they do with other movies and other franchises. So guys, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think it would be kind of a cool way to continue the story, give the fans really the nitty-gritty continuity, story, character stuff that they want, while also having the movies kind of play to the general audiences who don't really care about that stuff and they don't want to see their movie bogged down with that kind of mythology and canon or anything else like that? I would really love this. I think it would be perfect for any future sequel, any future entry into this franchise. And hell, I honestly think that it would be kind of cool just to have this in general. I mean, not even doing a 9th film if they decide not to. Just give us books. Just give us a comic book. Continue the story that you started telling with something else. We've seen this happen before. They did this with Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, which was supposed to be the sequel to Freddy vs. Jason, but they couldn't get the rights to Ash because of a lot of drama with Sam Raimi and the Evil Dead remake that ended up bombing in the box office and everything else like that. But we did get it in comic book form, and if you want to look up that, I really suggest you do. It's a really fun read. So guys, with that being said, I'm going to leave it at that. Guys, I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below about this. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. Share this video out to all your friends. But with that being said, guys, I hope everyone has a good night. It's been real.